Kiyan Anthony is the son of Carmelo Anthony, but that's not even close to all he is. Over the past year, he's climbed up the rankings for the class of 2025 and is currently sitting as a 4-star recruit. He's not only shown that he's an incredible scorer, but that he also has real potential to make it to the NBA and have a successful career. Although it's still very early to say that, Kiyan can already do a bit of everything on both sides of the floor. He's listed as 6'5" and is definitely more of a shooting guard than a point guard, which really isn't surprising knowing his dad is Melo. During his junior year of high school, he averaged just over 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists a game, which doesn't sound too crazy, but he was playing for one of the best schools in the country in Long Island Lutheran. And it does appear that he's going to take a massive step going into his final season. I say that because he completely dominated throughout his last AAU season. The EYBL circuit is where the best teams and players in the country go to compete. And in the 15 total games that he played, Kiyan averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. That put him as the 10th leading scorer in the entire circuit. He started off slow with a couple 12-point games, but then went on to score 18 or more points in the next 8 games. That includes a 28-point, 5 3-pointer game against Pro Skills Elite and a 25-point, 7 rebound and 4 assist game against the PSA Cardinals. Not to mention, he had a game during the Peach Jam tournament where he scored 40 points while shooting 15 for 19. That is actually incredible. He scored 40 in the most efficient way possible and his team won by 30. Kiyan had multiple extremely good games against some of the best teams out there. He was able to score at will and even showed his ability to pass. He's got a really good looking shot and can score in like a million different ways. Kiyan's able to get to his spots whenever he wants, just like his dad, and can actually handle the ball really well. He doesn't just spam moves and is usually pretty purposeful with his dribbles, which isn't too big of a deal in high school but becomes a huge deal once he gets to college and hopefully the NBA. I wouldn't consider him a high flyer by any means, but he's still very athletic. He more so uses his length when he finishes at the rim and can break defenders down using more than just his speed. His stop-and-go ability, combined with his hesitations, gets him past defenders with ease. It's kinda like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai is way smoother because he's one of the best players in the NBA, but he has a similar handle. And that same athleticism transfers over to defense. He's not the best defender you could ask for, but he can definitely hold his own around the perimeter and surprisingly in the paint as well. He had multiple block shots throughout the EYBL circuit alone. But after the event was all wrapped up, he was then invited to the top 100 camp to again play against some of the best players in the country. And if you thought what he did throughout AAU was crazy, well, he took his game to a whole nother level. Out of everybody in the camp, Kiyan averaged the most points by far. He averaged 28.5 points per game, while the next highest averaged 23 a game. Kiyan absolutely took over and was the biggest topic throughout the event. He had a game where he finished with 42 points and 6 assists while shooting 53% from the field. That game went viral all over social media, but he had plenty more just like it. He scored 34 points on 12 for 19 shooting and a 30-point win, and also had a 27-point, 5-assist game the very next day. Kiyan had multiple extremely eye-opening performances, however, some of his bad games were really bad. Again, this is just the top 100 camp. These games are basically a showcase and you don't really get anything out of actually winning them. But after every big performance he had went viral, I was surprised some of his bad games also didn't go viral. He had a game where he scored 35 points in a 10-point loss, which looks really good, but he took 39 shots to get that. Plus, he just had 1 assist on top of it. 39 shots to 1 assist from Carmelo Anthony's kid is actually hilarious. It doesn't end there though. He had another game where he scored 25 points on 23 shots, which is just over 21% from the field. And he also had another game where he scored 27 points on 27 shots in a blowout loss. The reason I bring all that up is because his consistency and sometimes sloppy play are really his only flaws. Obviously, he's not going to shoot that many shots when he's missing in a real game because he hasn't from what I've seen. But that overall lack of polish is the only thing that he truly needs to improve on. He was invited to try out for Team USA's 17U World Cup team, but wasn't selected due to those flaws. I mean, everyone can work on taking the right shot and making the right reads, so I'm not really that concerned about it yet. You see this with high school players all the time. They go from being the main guy their entire life to being a real part of a team once they get to college. And let's not forget that Kiyan hasn't even played a single game of his senior season yet. He's literally still 17. Plus, him playing for one of the top high schools in the country will put him back into that real team environment again before he even gets to college. There's a lot of players that play for these top high schools that stay as just a role player throughout school ball and AAU. Because everyone on the team is so good, there's really no star players. Everyone is exactly a role player. Some might put up better numbers, but it's never by a whole lot. I actually think it's sometimes harmful to a lot of these top players when they play for schools like that. It's hard to go from being a role player your entire high school career to being a main guy once you get to the next level. So getting as much experience as the main guy as soon as possible is the best, which is why I don't recommend these players teaming up at these top schools. But because Kiyan does play for one of those programs, I'm not really mad that he's taking a ton of shots throughout camps in AAU. The fact that he can go out there and dominate during some games and sit back in others shows his ability to adapt and buy into a role. His game will only get better as he gets older and smarter in the way he plays. At the time of me making this video, he's ranked as a top 40 player in the country. He's currently listed in the 30s by ESPN, On3, and 24/7 Sports. But I really wouldn't be surprised if he enters the top 20 by the end of his senior season. He's one of the best scorers in the class, and I think his numbers will about double next season even while playing for Lutheran. Kiyan also just recently announced the top 3 schools that he's debating, those being USC, Auburn, and Syracuse. USC is a good basketball school, but after the season they had last year, I would be a bit worried. Auburn is coming off a conference championship and overall had a really good season, until they lost to Yale in the very first round of the March Madness tournament. Then there's Syracuse, who has by far the biggest advantage being the school that his dad went to. He could either follow in the same footsteps as him or make a name for himself somewhere else. Regardless, he's going to be just fine wherever he goes, and out of all the players who have had a dad in the NBA, I think Kiyan has a chance at being one of the best. But let me know what you think about Kiyan's career, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.